Welcome to the chapter lecture video on chapter 12 from the Supervision in the Hospitality Industry textbook. This chapter addresses time management. There are many myths concerning time management. Time is scarce and precious resource, and it must be managed well. Some supervisors think they can't possibly manage their time because of the nature of their job, and these are just some excuses that supervisors give for not managing their time. This chapter attempts to dispel some of these myths. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of them. The first step in managing time is time analysis. It's the process of determining how one currently spends time and then reviewing those results of the analysis to identify patterns. Supervisors can start by using a daily time log. There's a sample in our textbook on page 321. Supervisors start by choosing a day and recording their activities at half-hour intervals. Then they record their activities for each day during a typical week. And at the end of the week, analysis of the data can reveal the patterns and tendencies that emerged, the times of low productivity, or when there was adequate delegation. Supervisors should identify time robbers. These are activities that take up time but do not contribute to reaching objectives. Time robbers can be divided into two categories: those you create and those that others create. Supervisors create their own time robbers through procrastination, trying to achieve too much, not being able to say no, having a disorganized workstation, not having a plan, or personal errors that lead to redoing their work. Some other time robbers include interruptions, meetings, requests for help, crises, mistakes by others, unclear directions, and lack of information. Managing interruptions by categorizing them as high priority or low priority. For example, a high priority interruption is an unscheduled meeting with your boss or needing to interact with a guest. A low priority interruption is a phone call or some non-urgent conversation with employees or other supervisors. Time management tools include daily to-do lists, weekly planning guides, and calendars. Daily to-do lists are valuable for keeping track of jobs and details that might otherwise be forgotten. These lists allow supervisors to identify tasks that must be completed each day, their priority, and who can assist. Supervisors can indicate, with a check mark perhaps, whether each activity has been completed. There is a sample to-do list in our textbook. Consider deadlines, workflows, number of employees, special project, and other variables. Avoid using vague statements such as plan training. Instead, write, talk with shift leaders about the new process for cleaning guest rooms. Stick with priorities. Do high priority items first. Save time by doing similar tasks in batches. If supervisors consistently have trouble setting their priorities or getting things done, they should ask their boss to review their responsibilities. Weekly planning guides help supervisors allocate time for their most important activities, projects, and people. On page 326 in our textbook, it shows an example of a weekly planning guide. This form can be modified to meet a supervisor's specific needs. Typically, as the week progresses, supervisors will need to update the guide to shift their priorities, add new tasks, and reschedule activities. This here shows an example of how calendars are used to mark important dates, meeting times, and activities through the current month and year. Sorry, that's on page 327 in your textbook. But these here, are tips for managing a calendar. If any of you have had me in a face-to-face class, you know that I actually keep a pen to paper, a physical hard copy calendar that indicates my responsibilities, my routines and schedules, that is really important. But these are some other ways that I would highly recommend to manage your calendar. Include routinely scheduled events, like certain meetings with your staff or with your boss. Include important activities for which you are responsible, like training, performance evaluations. Treat them as important. Don't change times unless a high priority event must be scheduled. Each start of the week, review your calendar. Some planned activities may no longer be necessary or are now less important, and you can make those adjustments. Check the availability of others who must attend the meeting before scheduling. Note that electronic time management systems make this fast and easy to do. Start and end meetings on time or earlier if you can. Put important personal time, like doctor's appointments or vacations, on your calendar. And don't schedule back-to-back meetings. You may be late to the last one. And say no to meetings when you should and can do so. Delegation involves the supervisors assigning tasks to employees for which the supervisor is still accountable. This is fundamentally different from simply assigning work. Delegation means first looking at what tasks can be delegated to an employee and then determining how to help that employee successfully complete the delegated task. While supervisors can delegate the authority to complete a task, they cannot delegate accountability for accomplishment. Successful delegation depends on supervisors' willingness and ability to follow up and help their employees succeed. There are 3 levels of delegation, and unless supervisors make it clear on which level an employee is operating, an employee may resist the effort to delegate. Some supervisors are reluctant to delegate. Perhaps there's a lack of trust or confidence, lack of experience, insecurity, fear of being disliked, or perfectionism mentality, or failure to establish control or follow-up procedures. Possible barriers for delegation for employees is they don't want the freedom and authority, they fear criticism, they feel they will not get rewarded or they will be punished if not done well, and feel it's the supervisor's duty and not theirs. But there are many ways to effectively delegate. In our textbook on page 330, it presents questions for supervisors to answer before delegating tasks to employees. But these are the general steps to follow when delegating work to others. Special concern of computerized time management software systems include that the staff still prioritize their tasks and activities, time needed to evaluate and learn new apps, systems and apps not needed for most basic time management needs, and no system can overcome a very serious roadblock relating to effective time management, and that is procrastination. So my last piece of advice for you is, regardless of the tool that you use, whether it's a digital tool or a handwritten tool like a daily diary or a Google Calendar, I highly recommend using something and starting now if you haven't already started. So if you have any questions, you know where to find me, and that's the end of chapter 12. Thank you.